dumbest tweet of the week. Now, I'm mad at myself because I lost the tweet itself, but I'm able to find enough examples of the tweet. Now, it's about nepotism. The tweet essentially was, oh, like fucking left-wing liberals will always talk about how much they hate nepotism, but ignore it when it comes to Hollywood nepotism. Meaning, like, I think people were celebrating Dan Levy, who's Eugene Levy's son from the hit show Schitt's Creek. He just hosted SNL recently. Everyone loves that guy. He's funny. I've only watched the first couple episodes of Schitt's Creek. He's funny, but like I don't get it yet. In my head, I'm like, this seems like Arrested Development-ish, but Arrested Development seemed way funnier at the start than this show. I'm gonna keep watching it though. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just not into it yet. But so the tweet's basically just like, fuck Hollywood nepotism and stuff like that. Now, again, nepotism, everyone's for like, my kid, I'm a famous actor. My kid's gonna be a famous actor and I'm gonna grease the wheels for him to help him. Obviously, I don't like nepotism. I think nepotism is bad in a lot of sense. But you have to understand, I think Hollywood nepotism, again, a bad thing, but here's why I hate this tweet and this thought process. All the people who think this way, they're not really breaking it down logically. I think a lot of the reasons that so many famous people, famous actors and actresses also have parents who are famous actors and actresses is because they grew up seeing that was a possibility. So if you grow up and, your father's a famous actor, Tom Hanks, his son Colin Hanks has been in a bunch of stuff lately. So if you're Colin Hanks and you're like 7 and you're like, my dad's in all these movies, movie star is a possibility. I could maybe one day be a movie star like my dad. That's what a lot of it is. Now, sure, of course, in every industry, there is problems with nepotism where it's like, give my kid the fucking job. But I don't think it's any more in Hollywood than it's, say, in plumbing. You know what I mean? Or it's like, I'll get my kid in the apprentice program. I've been a good plumber for a long time. I've been teaching. That's everything. Everything in life is who you know. So for these people, and I've seen a lot of the tweets because it still started when Dan Levy was on SNL 2 weeks ago. All of these tweets, though, I just don't like the fucking inconsistency with them and the idea that it's a problem only in this one area. It's pretty across the board. And again, I think it's so much of people being like, oh, that's a world I could enter. You talk to the average American, like I know growing up, if I would have said I want to be a famous actor, people would be like, they would have told me to. I remember when I started doing comedy, they weren't overly supportive right away. Luckily, they weren't dicks, but I remember like, they weren't being like, really? You're going to be fucking, there wasn't like encouragement. That's just the world I grew up in. I grew up in a very blue collar part of Chicago where people didn't go on to be musicians or actors or comedians or whatever. It just wasn't the arts. The arts wasn't for you. You want to be an artist? What do you like, dick? Like that was the world I grew up in. So I would really believe that the reason so many famous people's kids end up becoming famous in those worlds is because they grew up thinking that's a possibility. We've been talking a lot about in society about representation being important, which I think it is. If you're a little girl and you all of a sudden see politicians who are women, you think, oh, I could grow up and do that too. That's a fucking cool thing. I don't know who would be against that. So I definitely think the idea of that, like Hollywood nepotism is out of control more so than other shit. I think it's bullshit. I think a lot of people who are spreading that are people who just aren't successful in their own right. Maybe they're not talented enough, or maybe it just doesn't happen for them yet, but they're fucking bitter and they're pushing that shit out there. And I really think that's what a lot of it is. But in the same regard, yeah, there are some talentless fucks who get things that other people don't get. Are you new? That happens everywhere. Like fucking everywhere from the beginning of goddamn time. So either accept it, work harder, or fucking get out of the way because you're going to be a loser anyway. That's how I'm ending it right there.